All right, y'all. So let's talk about this: Errol Spence versus Tim Tszyu. Look, I'm not here to do a fight breakdown. I'm just going to say the obvious, and pretty much, it's not a whole lot to say. Salute to Errol Spence, because Errol Spence doesn't do tune-ups. Tim Tszyu is not the best fighter at 154 pounds, 160 pounds, whatever, right? But at the same time, he's still dangerous enough for a guy like Errol Spence, who took a bad beating, was out for 3 years or whatever it's been, and came back in his first fight against a guy who's been active. So even with losses with Tim Tszyu, he still is, like I said, dangerous enough to pose a threat to Errol Spence. We seen in the fight, Errol Spence is not the same fighter. Errol Spence is retired. Salute to him for making a wise decision. Honestly, and if he decided to keep fighting, I mean, that's on them. I'm not into making videos of trying to encourage a fighter to quit and showing all this empathy and sympathy. For me, I feel like this is your life. We're not, I'm not wishing anything bad on you. Like I always say, y'all know my saying, you got no one to hold him and no one to fold him. And he retired. He announced his retirement at the post conference. Like he said, it's like, even without the Tim Tszyu fight, financially he's fine. And it's just no need to keep fighting. Like, he answered a lot of questions about himself in the fight, to himself as well. So yeah, you have to be honest with yourself. Fortunately, he didn't go in there and get his brains beat out. He didn't go in there and really get punished. He got wobbled a couple of times, and listen, if you can't beat Tim Tszyu, it's best to retire, because like I said, there's fighters that's way better than Tim Tszyu, but Tim Tszyu is still dangerous enough, for a guy in Errol Spence's position. And I don't mean just the 3 years. It's just the point, like he said them 12 rounds just felt hard, man. And when you see, like, in the last round where he was constantly moving and like he wasn't fighting, like he gave the round away. You know what I mean? Like, he couldn't have possibly been thinking that he was winning that fight. I think he just felt like it's safety first, man. I'm tired. I'm here, but he had to push himself for those 12 rounds, and it really is. It's like it's better that he make the decision that it's over. It's people that oh man, well, he ain't trying to get his get back at Crawford. Like, yeah, y'all not in the ring, and there's always a bunch of non-fighters. A motherfucker ain't never fought, never hit a speed bag, punching bag, probably ain't put a pair of boxing gloves on. But they always got something to say about what somebody should do, like calling him scared and blah 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 because he retired. Look, man, it's his decision. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if I was asked, if him, AJ, I would tell them both. Like, if they, yeah, I think y'all should retire, but that's y'all call. Because they're done. Like, I look, you can see it. They're done. They are done. Look, can AJ, is it possible Anthony Joshua could go and dig down and come up with 1 or 2 more good performances? Maybe. Do I really expect Anthony Joshua to, like, somehow become a better fighter? Like, when I'm hearing people saying things like Tony Bellew and him, I know that he's friends with Anthony Joshua, and he have a deep concern for him. But they're saying that he was back too soon, because there's no way a guy like Pringa should give Anthony Joshua that kind of problem and stuff. And even though he knocked him out, but just the fact that he hurt him like that. Look, Anthony Joshua's punch resistance looked weak. I give him the fact that he did the uppercut didn't even look hard at all. It's just the fact that he didn't see it. Okay, he didn't see it. But he never was like wobbling and stuff. He just went down, but he got back up. You understand what I'm saying? But bottom line, when he got dropped, like when you look at what happened with AJ, it's like AJ got hurt, right? AJ got hit. He got, it was like they were all flash knockdowns. But what I'm saying is, even in that, the fact that he was able to just get hit with them shots, and the fact that, he went down the way he did, it's up to him whether he continues to fight or not, for sure. It's up to any of them. But in my opinion, Yeah, I mean, I feel like I would advise him to, if you know. But at the end of the day, it's up to him. I don't see, you know, the point of him saying he want to be 3-time world champion. I get all that, but it might not happen. It might, but it might not happen. And like I said in another video that hasn't dropped yet because it's long as fuck. Okay, but like I said in that video, like, if they even set it up to where him and Fury fight and they make it for a championship, right? He can say, well, okay, Fury's still one of the top guys and I'm still one of the top guys, especially if he wins, right? But at the same time, cool. Does he win and then say, now I can retire? Or does he now want to defend my belt? Now, he giving himself more reason because he said he wanted to fight until he's 38. But your biological clock might just not agree with that. Father Time just might not agree with that. And you can't turn the clock back. People use that term, but you cannot. Everybody can't do what Foreman did. Everybody can't do what Nito Donaire did. Everybody can't stay undefeated and be on top form the way Floyd did, the way, you know, Crawford did, you know, the way you know, Usyk has been doing. But after looking at that last fight, look, man, Usyk, he's done. They're at the end of their careers, man. You have nothing to feel ashamed about, you know. But the end is close. Tyson Fury, all of them. AJ, none of them look good anymore. None of them. You know, Errol Spence, not the same. But he's smart enough to understand that. And he's done. He's done. He don't need to worry about you know, look, everybody want you, of course, somebody beat you, you want to beat them back. Of course you want to. But it's also, you got to understand, if you don't have the ability anymore, then what you going to depend on? A lucky shot? Land a lucky shot and get him out of there? Or hope maybe he get injured in the fight where, you know, I can take advantage of, because skill for skill. The beating that he took against Crawford, him getting thrown out of a car, all that things that you can work through still because you're still young, at some point, all that shit catches up with you. The kind of beating that he took from Crawford, man, and then you're 36 years old. Now, we don't know what Crawford would look like right now if he got in the ring. He might not, if Crawford himself might look different. So whether Errol Spence will be able to beat him or not right now, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You know, it's one of these things, you know, look at what, this is what I'm saying. While y'all be sleeping, look at what Bernard Hopkins did, man. Look at what Bernard, look at what George Foreman was able to do. That's what I be saying. Y'all see things, but y'all pick and choose what's special to y'all. It ain't about what's special to y'all, what personally gets your attention. It's about the reality of what people are capable of doing. And you know, Errol Spence might have enough in him to beat somebody else, another lesser fighter, but what's the purpose? What's the purpose, man? You know, Roy Jones did something that people was like against. And you know, like he said, it's his call. Not everybody, he's right. But you know what's crazy? He says that. And he was saying that then, right? But every time somebody, you know, like for him to get mad at Floyd, because he was running his mouth about Floyd, he did the same shit again the other week. Did another interview talking about Floyd. You know, but that's that, right? But yet, he want to erase the fact that he got knocked out and got 10 losses. But, you know, he was headstrong about saying, you know, it's his call. Ain't nobody was going to tell me when I came. I'm a grown man, you know what I'm saying? And I want to fight until I'm 55. I want to fight until I'm 65. You know what I'm saying? I got the right to call. Right. And Floyd got the right to sit here and watch you get knocked the fuck out by journeyman. Everybody got the right to sit here and watch any of them fights. You know? The same man that made excuses. If Antonio Tarver tell the truth, he'll tell you, know what I'm saying, he beat a depleted Roy Jones. Right. Antonio Tarver just did an interview with Andre Ward. And he talked about how nobody thought he was going to beat him and this and that and all the stuff he said. And I remember saying to some idiot in the comment section, so what you basically saying is Antonio Tarver is supposed to say, oh yeah, the only reason I beat Roy is because Roy was a depleted fighter. Depleted my ass, man. Roy got his ass whooped. Same with Mike Tyson. Oh, we going to make excuses for Mike Tyson. Right? We going to make excuses for him. Why? He got his ass whooped. That's all. Whether it was Buster Douglas or Evander Holyfield, he got his ass whooped. What's the excuses? You know what I'm saying? Oh man, Holyfield waited for him. That you know when people tell that lie, it's like, man, you know they don't know what they talking about. Holyfield ain't wait for shit. Holyfield was sitting there in Tokyo in the audience waiting for Mike Tyson to whoop Buster Douglas's ass, and that's not what happened. Buster whooped his ass, so hey, you know what? Well, I gotta go after Buster Douglas now. And he went in and did what Mike couldn't do against Buster. Then Mike Tyson goes to jail. That ain't Holyfield's fault. And for the record, man, Holyfield, again, is 4 years older than Mike Tyson. Excuses. But Mike Tyson was the most honest about his retirement. He said, you know, no disrespect to my opponent, but for me to lose to a fighter of this caliber, you know, he said, I don't have a heart for this anymore. Remember? I don't have a heart for this anymore. I'm doing it for the money. I just need the money. And, you know, no disrespect to my opponent, but for me to lose to a fighter of this caliber, I'm not gonna disrespect the sport anymore. It's time. I'm gonna retire. And he retired. Yeah, Errol Spence is telling you, man, it's just time. You know, he was fortunate that he went in there and the fight didn't go worse. It could have been much worse. Man, it didn't. He did what he did. And like I said, you know, I'm willing to guarantee you that him and Ronnie Shields both had the understanding, if I can't beat, you know, Tim Tszyu, I need to retire. And I agree. You can't beat Tim Tszyu, you know, and also then you should retire. And two, what I saw, Errol Spence was known for having power, but you didn't see an increase of power at 160 pounds. You didn't see an increase. In fact, Tim Tszyu, you could see the physical size. Tim Tszyu was a much bigger dude, which means size-wise, there's people that Spence might be better than that 160, but they might just be too big and strong. And there's nothing else to prove. He did what he did. He had a great career. And, you know, don't let your ego go in there and make you have one fight too many. And, you know, he's smart enough to understand that, and he's honest with himself. Now he can go with peace. Him coming back was to see if he still had it. I remember when Regis Prograis had his last fight against Conor Benn, and he said he was terrified. Remember we was hearing them rumors about him not coming? He was like, that's not true, that's just rumors. I'm gonna be there, the fight's still on. But remember, he admitted later that he was terrified. He said he just wasn't feeling boxing anymore. He just didn't feel like the same fighter, but he wanted to prove to himself that he could still do it. And that is really a stupid mindset, because he said at the same time, he didn't even expect to win. He wasn't even trying to win. He just wanted to survive. He wanted to make the 10 rounds. So what's the purpose of just to say I went the distance even though I lost? Like, because that fight, same thing. When your heart is going, when you are not confident and you don't have a heart for this shit anymore, yeah, you can go in there and get your brains beat out bad. And he got beat up in the fight. You see the way the fight went. But it was to prove it to himself that he could still do it. Okay, now what? Who you think cares about that fight now? You understand what I'm saying? Who cares? All people get to see you do, like, what you think gonna happen? When you look at the win-loss records, when people watch the fight, what you think is going to be attached to that? Oh, he lost, but by the way, he wasn't trying to win. He just wanted to prove to himself that he could do it. Okay? Who cares? Who cares about that, right? So, yeah, he did what he did, and he took an ass whooping and he lost, but he retired. So, Errol Spence leaving is the right thing to do. And to be honest with you, the fact that Tim Tszyu couldn't go in there and actually, like, really destroy him, it says a lot about Tim Tszyu. Where I feel like Tim Tszyu, first of all, Tim Tszyu has always been a pressure fighter that come to knock you out, so people found him exciting. But Tim Tszyu himself, he might find himself in a situation at 160 pounds too, where he go in there and somebody just knock him straight, like just spark him out clean. You know, but Tim Tszyu is still fighting. He's going forward. This was a crossroads fight for both of them. And for Tim Tszyu, this is not an impressive win. Errol Spence is a shot fighter. You understand what I'm saying? So going forward, whatever opportunity it leads him to, hey, I mean, it is what it is. But this is where I'm saying where Tim Tszyu might go in his next fight and get knocked out clean. You know, he might win. Depends on his opponent. Just saying, like this isn't an impressive win, man, because Errol Spence is not what he was, and Tim Tszyu also isn't what he was. Now, in terms of where they both are in their careers, man, yeah, he got the better of it, but you know, it's two washed up fighters. That's the bottom line. It's two shot fighters. Tim Tszyu is not the same fighter, man. I'm looking at when I was watching Errol, and I'm looking at how like the snap of his jab is gone, the speed is not the same, the footwork. And I'm just watching him like, yeah, you could clearly see it from round one. Like, okay, you know, he's working the jab, he was staying busy, but there was no real like. I remember when he started finally landing some power shots, but like there was, I'm watching him, I could see like, yeah, Errol is, yeah. You just see these things, and you gotta be real with yourself. And y'all know I always wanted to see Errol win. I ain't never want to see nobody beat Errol. You know what I mean? But at the same time, man, like I said, I don't take it personal. If it happens, it happens. It's them, not me. But at the end of the day, you know, Errol, in my opinion, is doing the right thing. You know, people, oh man, but, yo, you should try to go back. Like, come on, man. It's easy to talk that shit, and especially when you outgrow a weight class. And you go up into a weight class where your power doesn't carry over to where, like basically, Tim Tszyu was able to take his big shots, but he hurt Errol, you know, a couple of times. And, you know, listen, greed can make the worst things happen. You still got your mind together. Your body has been through a lot physically, and you got plenty of money. You good, man. You got another big payday. You know what I'm saying? And it's nothing else left to do. The Crawford fight happened. Crawford won. That's that. You know, that's that. And I don't believe that a healthy, fit, you know, Errol Spence loses to Tim Tszyu. To a healthy fit Tim Tszyu, I think that a healthy Spence beats a healthy Tim Tszyu. But at the same time, it don't matter. And also, and understand this, stylistically, because in the past, Errol Spence has been, instead of sticking to his boxing and neutralizing his opponent's ability to get in close and catch him with shots that he don't need to get caught with, he have a tendency to like want to brawl. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, you gotta look at it this way. He was fighting at 147 pounds. So I'm looking at, if they was to fight years ago, it would have been at 154. I still would favor, I would have favored a healthy, you know, Errol Spence, but also understand too, the car accident happened. You see what I'm saying? So if they'd have fought after the car accident, I don't know what would have happened, and it's irrelevant. But because of the way Spence fight, he's known to make a fight harder than it needs to be, and it's also possible that Tszyu could have caught him and wind up hurting him and maybe getting him out of it. It's possible either way. But you know, this version of Errol Spence, you can clearly see how far off he is, man. This is, you know, it's like I said, he was able to get out of it without getting his brain scrambled up, man, and he's good. You know, he's not sweating the loss, and you know, that's that. That's that. So salute to him. You know, Tim Tszyu came in and did what he did, man, and he got the win, and that is where I look at, you know, like, say for example, if there would have been a robbery in this fight, and the fight went exactly the way it went, right? Because there was people that was telling me, like when I was watching the fight, and they was like, yo, I got Errol winning 7-5, right? Then you had people saying they got Tszyu winning 8-4, and to me, when I watched it, I had Tim Tszyu winning the fight. I didn't think Errol won the fight. I thought it was clear who won. But let's say if and especially with the fact he gave up that last round like that, but just say if Errol would have got the fight, Errol still might have retired. He still might have retired. And basically, most fighters, will they get a win? And it's a crossroads fight and they win, they go forward because they be like, yo, I can get one more last big payday. You know, and that's when a lot of times they do that, and they go in there and have that one fight that they shouldn't have had, and they don't realize it until they land up in the hospital, all stitched up and busted up and in pain, and it's like, damn. You know, and they go out like that. Going out on your shield does not mean, let me fight until I got nothing left. That's called stupidity. That's called incompetence, and you put yourself in a position where you walk around and your family got to watch you laying there like a vegetable and can't do nothing and trembling and shaking, and you know, and you did all of this for what? I mean, I ain't trying to be funny, but you're going to die and pass on, and your wife going to remarry somebody else, and you did all that for what? I'm just saying, you know, no one to hold him, no one to fold him. I don't think Errol Spence got to hold his head down about nothing. The worst thing about Errol Spence's career was all the drinking that he was doing, and it caught up with him, and you know, he led to the accident and everything after that, man. Sometimes, man, you just get to a point where physically and mentally, you just can't connect the dots properly, and people lie to themselves, and they can't lie to them, and they want to believe they still got it, but they lost it a long time ago. Errol is doing the right thing. AJ wants to continue to fight. It all sounds good when he says he refused to be beaten and all that. It sounds good. You know, for somebody to say how long it's going to take, like they say Anthony Joshua hurt Tony Bell, you say Anthony Joshua was in there too soon. All of them, like, yeah, he needed more time. If you need another 3 or 4 months, so be it. You know, it was too soon. The guy he's a great fighter. The guy should not have been in there so soon. You can see, because this guy's a whole different caliber for Anthony Joshua. Joshua come back too soon. Now, if Joshua would have took them extra 3 or 4 months and came back, and let's say it would have been a similar type of performance, then they would have said that it was ring rust. And you see these fighters keep trying to tell themselves, I still got it. I would suggest all of them stay away from Moses Atama, like far away, and that's Usyk included, Fury, Wilder, all of them. The ass whoop, I don't think the money's worth the ass whooping. I see him destroying all of them bad, all of them. They're done. Spence is the smart one in his what he's doing. They got the right to keep doing what they're doing, by all means. And they're all 36. Well, him and Spence and Errol's 36. You know, I wish AJ well. I wish all of them will. Go out there and do your thing if that's what you want to keep doing. But they're all at the end of their careers. It's all but done. It's actually, you can see it, you know. You can see it. So, you know, hopefully for them, they don't find themselves in a position where you got a bunch of people typing prayers up, or, you know, and you know, because somebody went in there and took a horrific beating, and, you know, and learning the hard way. But, you know, that's what happens. They want to see if they got that one last fight in them, and this is why they try to be strategic. You know, people was talking shit, like that dumb shit that Canelo was saying about Crawford, how he can't get his credit, how disappointed he is because he won't fight him again. You should be disappointed how you went there and got your ass whooped. You know, you can't taint what Crawford did to you. You can't take that away, what happened. You know, and all that stupid foolishness, and then you got these YouTubers and podcasters putting their 2 cents in based on what, like Canelo said, like what he said has any validity to it, man. Like the dude got his ass whooped. I can't go. I tell you, my legs can't go. I tell you, understand my frustration, and I can't go. Right. And what would your excuse be after a rematch? Crawford didn't worry about the money. He made plenty of money already through his career in that fight alone. So he wasn't worried about the money. They tried to up the money to get him to come back to fight Canelo. You got to feel it. And if you don't feel it, you're going to go in there and get your ass whooped simply because in your mind, in your body is, I'm done. I don't need this no more. It's just like when you know you ain't got to work the next day. Your brain relaxes more. Your body relaxes because I ain't got to get up 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, right? I can get up whenever I want. I'm off tomorrow, right? And you sleep better. Or you might not even be sleepy at all just because you know you don't have to get up the next day. The same thing, once you make your mind up and make a decision that I'm done, and now all of a sudden they throw some money at me, that money don't mean you going to come back and fight hard. But again, Look at guys that's undefeated. Look at who walked away from the sport. That's why I said, man, people who talk all that shit they want. And how many was Andre Ward's record? 35-0, right? Imagine Floyd is 50-0. And people try to make it seem like just anybody can do it. No. They make it seem like this is something that just happens every day. All these guys that were supposed to surpass Floyd, everybody was wanting to see somebody surpass him. You notice these guys got losses and multiple losses, and these guys wind up looking bad. And then they like, yeah, but he was 36, right? Well, Floyd was 38. You know, but people want to act like just anybody could do it. You know, it is what it is, y'all. Anyway, salute to all the fighters, man. Just, it is what it is. They gonna go out the way they gonna go out. And only time gonna tell what they got left in the tank. But definitely, Spence is doing the right thing. And, hopefully other fighters, for their own sake, will understand what they need to do versus what they want to do. If your wants and your body don't align with reality, you're gonna fuck around and find out. That's all I got for you guys right now. Catch you guys on the next video.